Kia ora tātou katoa. Today, Cabinet met and has approved the extension of Alert Level 2 for another 2 weeks until 11:59 p.m. on Monday the 13th of September. However, there is some good news with a number of restrictions that we have lifted. Firstly, we're removing the restrictions around gatherings of people, and secondly, we're once again allowing travel to the Paenua. As for our people stranded in New Zealand, we are working on what needs to be done with our people that are stranded there, and I'll talk about this soon. Our Cabinet decisions today reflects our strong commitment to keeping our people safe and our country COVID-free. Our decision is based on the latest information and advice from our health advisors and professionals in Te Maraeora and also in New Zealand. Yesterday, New Zealand announced an extension of its Alert Level 4 lockdown in Auckland for another 2 weeks, with the rest of the country moving to Level 3 later this week. It also recorded 53 new community cases of Delta yesterday. This is down from previous days, but time will tell if the lockdown is working in New Zealand. What I'd like to focus on today, because it's causing some anxiety for our people, is that the pause in travel from New Zealand, we're once again rolling out our wage subsidy together with our sole trader grants. By doing this, we're supporting all Cook Islanders, because at level 2, many businesses can't operate, and the impact of no visitors from New Zealand is very significant for our economy. That is why, from today, wage subsidies and sole trader grants have already started being paid to eligible businesses. For the month of August, the subsidy will reflect the half of the month when the border was closed, while for September, this will reflect the full month. Information on eligibility can be found on the MFEM website and on MFEM's social media accounts. This financial support is another important protection, keeping our people in work and our businesses afloat. And rest assured, we can afford this. In fact, $15 million was earmarked for additional business support in our June budget. We're in a very different economic cycle now compared to last year. We're now in recovery mode, and since May, tourism has bounced back very fast. So we know that our tourism market is resilient, and so too is our economy. I'd like to mention the 256 Cook Island residents and permit holders that are now currently stranded in New Zealand. Unfortunately, managed return of our people will not happen until Auckland moves out of Alert Level 4. And while Auckland remains in Alert Level 4, we have no option but to adhere to the restrictions New Zealand has imposed on everyone, including our people that are stuck there. We've come too far and made too many sacrifices to take the risk of bringing Delta here. So while we're working behind the scenes on managing their return as soon as possible, please understand that it's on hold for now. When it does happen, we'll prioritize people according to strict criteria for return. People returning will need a negative COVID test 72 hours before departure, and they'll also need to undergo at least 14 days of managed isolation here in Rarotonga. So going back to those level 2 changes that I mentioned earlier. From the 31st of August, which is tomorrow, there will no longer be a cap on the number of people at gatherings. This means you can have more than 100 people at events. However, it will still be compulsory for gatherings of over 25 people to be registered, and contact tracing of all attendees will be the responsibility of the organizer. Regarding travel to the Paenua, from today, the good news is that travel from Rarotonga to the Paenua, by plane or by sea, can commence tomorrow. All that is required will be a pre-departure health and temperature check. I know that many of our mayors and executive officers and councillors, not to mention our uiariki, will be wanting to get back home to their home islands. I should also mention here that at alert level 2, inwards travel from New Zealand remains suspended. I'd like to assure our people to feel confident about the systems we have in place and the measures we've taken to protect our country. We've done everything we can to protect both the health and the well-being of our people and the economy too. Swinging into action on contact tracing and swabbing our visitors as soon as we knew of the Delta outbreak in New Zealand has paid off. And I'm pleased to say that all tests have been negative so far. A reminder here that all arrivals into the Cook Islands from August the 2nd are required to be tested, and all symptomatic visitors and locals, irrespective of your testing history, must be tested or retested. Finally, I want to thank everyone for your cooperation, your vigilance, and your patience during these difficult times. By sticking to level 2 guidelines and by being diligent about hand washing, physical distancing, mask wearing, and by tagging in with CookSafe, you're helping to keep our communities safe. I also want to pay tribute to the dedicated team of people who've worked exceptionally hard over the last few weeks, contact tracing, testing, doing the lab work, and many other things to ensure both the safety of our people and that of our visitors too. We are very fortunate to be a COVID-free nation. May God continue to bless us all. Kia rana, e kia manuia.